record on this. Okay, we are going to share screen because sometimes it's helpful to have something to talk from. If I could get technology, I need a person. I need a tech person because it's not me. I'm not the tech person. Okay, so as a lot of you know, you've been following me for a long time. I have advertised myself as Team Rise and Thrive for a long time, and those two words have meant a lot to me personally, and it's something that I am excited to carry forward. I am anticipating that there's going to be quite a bit with kind of detaching what I'm doing with Beachbody versus what I am doing here, because Rise and Thrive coaching is going to be my corporate company. I am working with a lawyer right now to set up all of those things, very scary stuff. But Rise and Thrive is my kind of business name. And the program that we are creating, that I've created, is 5 to Thrive. And I'm going to share a bit tonight with you guys about what this is going to be, why I created it, when we're going to be doing it. And I'll make sure at the end, I'll leave the slideshow and I'll pull up everybody's questions so that I don't miss anything, because people had some pretty awesome questions in there. So we are going to see what happens. There we go. Okay. So my mission, this was an important thing for me to be able to create with this, because you need to have something that's aligned. And when somebody asks like, well, what are you doing here? My mission with this program, with this company as a whole, is to provide a positive environment that fosters personal growth, builds confidence, and empowers you to go from surviving to thriving. And I have a difficult time when they say you should pick 3 things. There should always be 3 things, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things here. I want a positive space. I think personal development is huge, and confidence and empowerment. So it kind of took a little bit to find a flow there, but I do really want to be able to create this space where people feel comfortable coming in to say, I need help with something. Because that was something that took me a really long time to be able to find, was to find a community where I felt comfortable coming in and saying, you know what, I struggle with this, I suck at this. Hi, me and time management, not friends yet. We're working on it. But being able to come in and say, hey, this is my weak point, and I want to work on it, and looking for tools and resources to be able to work through everything. So what exactly is the program about? Is this showing up for you guys, this setup professional audio? I think I can make that go. Okay, there we go. That's better. So what exactly is this program about? This 5-week program is designed to help you break through limiting beliefs. We're going to demolish negative self-talk, and we're going to beat down old thought patterns so that you can create your own custom routines. I think that that's the most important thing that we're creating here, is our own unique routines. This is not going to be cookie cutter. This is not me saying, this is when you should work out. This is how long you should work out for. This is what you should eat. This is when you should eat it. This is how much sleep you should be getting. That is not what this is. We're going to be preventing burnout. I think that that's a really big thing. A lot of people, they look at programs like this and they're like, I'm kind of like maxed out already. And that's the purpose of this program, is to be able to prevent that burnout. We're ditching overwhelm. We do not want things that are like all in, because that creates that all or nothing mentality, which is going to be one of the first things that we address within the program. We want to bring joy back to our lives. And that looks different for everybody. Just because I like dancing in the kitchen doesn't mean anybody else on the planet actually enjoys that. So being able to define what joyful movement looks like for you is going to be essential. Being able to kind of break through those limiting beliefs, we're actually going to be able to develop consistency, because you're going to look forward to doing the routines that you've created. A lot of us don't have consistency because we're in those like big plans, those all or nothing routines, and we hit the weekend, we go on vacation, things happen, we get sick, we have family members get sick. So being able to create a program that allows you to develop that consistency is going to be key. We are taking back control of our lives, because I talk to too many people that tell me maybe when life slows down. And I know that this was a big thing for myself as well, was to feel like I can't do another thing. Like I am just trying to get through the day. I am just barely coping. I am just barely surviving life. And it's hard to take back control, but it's absolutely possible. And I'm excited to be able to do that with you guys. And these routines are just going to help you feel damn good. I don't know if it's cut off for you guys or not, but where you are on my screen, it's blocking it over there, but we're going to feel damn good. Okay. The 5 pillars. So this is kind of the basis of the whole program. Is I'm going to be sharing with you guys these 5 pillars that I think are essential for keeping us functioning like as great human beings, people that do not feel overwhelmed or burnt out or like we can't take on another thing. These pillars are going to look very different for everybody, and I hope that everybody really embraces that. It's not going to be one of those like, well, this is what that person's looks like, and that's what my person's this looks like, and this is what mine looks like. Everybody's pillars are going to be so important and essential and completely unique to yourself. So where this kind of comes from, I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory here. When I was seeing my counselor for postpartum depression, when I first started going, one of the things that we talked about was I always had these expectations of myself of how I should be coping with something. And my counselor would always ask me like, okay, well, when did you eat last? Like, how's movement going? All of these things. And at first it was like, okay, this feels like the stereotypical, like get outside, get some movement, whatever. And it wasn't until she explained to me, it was an incredibly powerful way for her to explain that like we have these 4 pillars that are like human essential things that we all crave and need to be fully recharged. They're what helps keep us stable. So when we talked about it within counseling, it was exercise, diet, sleep, and social time. And if you're missing one, all of a sudden things are a little flaky. It doesn't take much to kind of rock the boat, right? And so say you didn't eat breakfast this morning, kind of start your day off a little rocky or maybe a little bit crankier than normal. Add in that you didn't sleep very good last night, and now your boat's pretty tippy. And then maybe you also haven't talked to your friends in a long time. You're down to 1. So one of the things that we talked about was constantly having that like one little bitty something in each pillar to be able to create a solid foundation so that when shit hit the fan, I had a bit of a foundation to be able to like stand on, to be able to move through it a little bit more confidently. It did not mean that everything was super easy. It didn't mean that the struggles went away. And that is the most important thing that I can drive home here. This is not going to cure the chaos in your life. It is just going to help you. I can't say just because this is monumental. It is going to help you move through life in a much more manageable way. You're going to not feel like you are just going through the motions, just trying to get through today, just trying to get through this month, just trying to get through this season. So with this training that I've been doing, they started talking about pillars, and it wasn't until they started saying like, okay, well, you need 3 pillars. And I was like, I think that there's more than 3. And then I remembered these 4 pillars of vulnerability that we had talked about within coaching. And I kind of went, okay, but I think that there's like one more. and it was really easy for me to come to ultimately at the end of it all, it's mindset that has brought me from just surviving, because those 4 pillars brought me from coping to surviving. But to get to the thriving point that I am in my life, it's because I've nailed my mindset work, my mindset routine. The awareness, the self-talk is huge. It's really paramount when it comes to all 4 of the other pillars too, right? So that's why I put it in the middle, because it connects with each one. And that's where the concept of this being a mindset coaching program is coming from, because within each pillar, we need to master our mindset to be able to master the routines that we want to have within each pillar. Some of the things that I really wanted to change the wording around the pillars, because there are negative connotations with exercise and diet, obviously, because of like mass diet culture. A lot of people shut down. And it's so much more than that. It is not just going to the gym. It is not getting your heart rate to a certain level for a certain amount of time. It is not eating X, Y, and Z on this schedule on these days. It is not like get this much sleep. And it's not get out and see people, because that doesn't jive with everybody. So I really wanted to change this to movement, nourishment, community, and recharging, because you need so much more than just sleep to like actually recharge your body. So that's kind of the 5 pillars that we're going to dive into. We'll be covering one pillar each week over the 5 weeks. Starting off with movement. I know that that's the one that I want to start with for sure, because that is the all or nothing mindset. And I think that that one's going to kind of ripple out into the rest of the weeks with building everything else. I get really bad for not stopping to just like drink, breathe. So why did I create this? I shared a little bit on the last one, a little bit more on like how I created it. But for those of you, you all kind of know me, but not everybody knows like how things were a while ago, a few years ago for me. Mental health has always been very important to me. I didn't realize that I was struggling with postpartum depression. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know how to put it into words, and I didn't know how to ask for help. And I thought there was something like really wrong with me. I thought I was going to get locked up if I told someone the thoughts going on in my head. And it wasn't until I read somebody's blog. I remember that it was on The Mighty. I remember that the title had something about elephant in the room. I don't know why I read that blog, because I'm not subscribed to anything on there. It just came into my life, and it was reading her words, hearing her story, hearing the things that were going through her head, and being able to finally feel like I could relate to somebody else. That gave me the strength to be able to tell my husband that I thought I was struggling. And it's always been that, like, that is the core of why I share what I do. And I know that it can be heavy sometimes when I share how bad things have gotten, but I also know the power in not being able to find the words to explain what is going on in your head, because sometimes people ask you what's wrong and you don't even know how to explain it. Whether you struggle with mental health disorders or are just struggling with like grief, overall stress, like there are a lot of factors in our lives that can really put us into that pit. And sometimes it's really hard for us to get out of that pit. And I really feel that I don't feel anybody should ever have to struggle with their mental health, or that there is necessarily a reason for it. But it does help me to find purpose in why I came out of it the way that I did. And the fact that I've been able to pay it forward is what drives me to continue to share. And being able to create a program like this, I feel like I literally came from like absolute rock bottom. I shared a couple of weeks ago that like I used to feel like my family was better off with somebody else. And now I'm here. And I'm creating something for other people to remind them that like you're worthy of love too. And you can do more than just survive. You are worthy of more than just, I'm just going to get through today. I just have to get through this week. Like, it's so important to be able to create something that feels manageable, because sometimes that weight is so heavy that it does feel impossible to do anything. And I think that it's the next slide. Yes. So I'm going to be here to inspire you guys. I'm going to share some pretty big talks. I think only 2 of them are a little on the heavier side. The rest of them are not so like deep. But I'll be doing these weekly group coaching sessions so that we can kind of start to lean into like what's going on in our head. So being able to help you guys kind of define that. So just because I say something, 5 people can listen to the same podcast and all come away with a different takeaway. So being able to share something a little bit more generic, to be able to take away all of the bits and pieces that I've learned from everybody else and kind of compile them into, this is what seems to be going on. Lets you guys kind of like figure it out on the inside. And then what we're going to do at the end of those sessions is I'm going to have some journal prompts for you guys in your custom built little journal that's going to be part of the program. But we're going to have journal prompts so that you guys can actually get out like what it is that you need in that area. We're going to do one pillar at a time. So it's not going to be like 5 new things, week 1, day 1. We're going to have it stack over 5 weeks. So that's going to be really important. I know that it can be really hard to feel like I have no motivation, like I'm not going to be able to do this, I don't have the energy. That's where inspiration comes in. I think that even the most motivated people need inspiration. I needed to listen to, I have a very specific podcast I listen to when I question, when I get sucked into imposter syndrome, which is a big one for me with this, because I'm not certified in a fucking thing other than life experience. Also, I'm going to curse on the calls, so heads up if your kids are around. But you need that inspiration. You need to be able to listen to somebody that like speaks to your heart sometimes. And I know a lot of people struggle with personal development, listening to podcasts. And I'm hoping that because, especially in the first round, y'all are my friends, that it's a little bit easier to listen to my voice, kind of guide you through it. And the recordings are always going to be available. And aside from taking away that pressure to like have to be on something at a certain time on a certain day a week, because that kind of goes against what I'm teaching here, it also gives you the opportunity to be able to listen to the call as many times as you need. If something was really powerful for you, you can go back and you can listen to like the one little blip. Sorry, one second. But you'll be able to go back and listen to it. So if you're really struggling that day, like we can't rely on motivation, especially if you're somebody that is struggling with a mental health disorder. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a conscious effort. So being able to listen to something that you know kind of ignited that spark in you is going to be key. And I'll be ending each call with a one-on-one kind of like, they call it a hot seat. So anybody that feels that they are really struggling with that particular mindset or with that particular pillar, there will be an opportunity at the end for somebody to have a little bit of one-on-one time. And the really neat part about this, and this is what I experience when I do any of my group coaching sessions, is it's almost always what somebody else is listening or dealing with. And you can see it in the room. Like you can see it on everybody's faces in the Zoom room when somebody says, this is what I'm struggling with. And you just see everybody else go back like, oh shit, that's me too. Now you have somebody more than just me that you're relating to, because sometimes that can be difficult as well, right? To see me over here creating a program like this and somebody else is struggling to feel like they can even do something like this in the beginning. It's really powerful to feel like you can relate to your peers as well. So that's kind of the inspirational side of things. Accountability is huge for everybody. I think that it really goes a long way when you have somebody that can hold you accountable. So I've created a couple of options as far as daily texting goes. I know not everybody is a morning person, so that's okay. If you are a morning person, if you're somebody that prefers to like wake up to those prompts, to know like this is what you're doing today, I'm going to have a morning text that goes out. It'll probably go out at 6 a.m. So if you don't want to be up at that time, make sure your phone's muted because it's coming out on automation. And then if you're somebody that prefers to reflect at the end of the day, I'm going to have an afternoon text that goes out instead to ask, how did today go, kind of thing. That'll probably go out around like 7 o'clock at night. So it's not super late, but it's also early enough that if you didn't get your pillar in today, you still have time to do it. And then there will be like a Saturday morning. So just like kind of a check-in before the weekend takes off, and then a Sunday evening to kind of say, okay, how did the weekend go? And are you ready for the next week? So those would be the weekend ones, will just be like, that's what they are. But during the week, you'll be able to have options, which I think is incredible, to be able to give people the choice to say, okay, well, what do you need? Do you need like a, this is what we're doing today, or how did today go? I need to look into whether I could have people on both options. or not. But for now, I think I'm just going to kind of stick with having somebody on either one to see how that goes. And then the custom built journal. So it's always really exciting to like actually fill things in. I don't know about you guys, but I have like 6 notebooks and a planner and a journal and all of the things. And I never complete one because they're huge. And I had a 4-week journal back in May, and it was so satisfying to finish it. So having something that is only going to be a 5-week kind of workbook, journal, planner, all wrapped into one pretty little package, goes a long way, right? It's satisfying to tick the boxes and color the things and write in and whatever. So that is going to kind of be what carries us through. One of the biggest questions that I had, my God, one of the biggest questions that I've had, both with this and with like everything else that I talk to people about, is how is this going to fit in my life? Like a lot of people, my plate is too full, I'm overwhelmed, I can't take on another thing, is very common. And that's a big part of why I designed the program the way that I did, being able to give people the choice to, well, when do you want to get a text? Having the recordings available is always like, that's always going to be there. It's never going anywhere. That way you could listen on your drive to work, while you're folding laundry, while you're cooking dinner one night. You could listen to it in the shower while you're getting ready for your day. Lots of options available to you. So you can literally put it in wherever works for you. If you're somebody that needs like the accountability, the visual accountability to be getting on something live, I'll be making sure to touch base with you at the beginning to see if Tuesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. PST works for you. This is possibly subject to change because Zoe's skating schedule is not up yet. So if her skating is on Tuesday evenings, I'm going to change it. But for now, this is what it is. So if you're somebody that tells me like, I need to be on these calls, or I know I won't listen to the recording, then I'm going to hold you accountable to it. Right. But obviously, like sometimes we have things happen, and it's incredible that the recording is going to be available to you. And a lot of people are like, I don't have 45 minutes a day. I don't have an hour to go to the gym. Like they have all of these preconceived notions around what is going to go into this. And that's the biggest part of the program, is I'm going to be asking you questions to dig deep into finding what works best for you. So if you don't have 45 minutes to go to the gym, maybe you have 5 minutes to literally just walk the block at night, or just stretch when you get out of bed in the morning. Like movement is very minimal. It can be very minimal. It all can be minimal. It all could total up. You could sandwich it together and it could total like maybe 10 minutes in your day, right? So being able to kind of find what works for you, and asking me for help. If you're like, oh, I can't fit this into my day. I don't know where it goes. Like I've got this puzzle piece and I don't know which spot it's going into. I'm going to be here to help you find that. I'm not just telling you like, figure it out on your own. But I am going to try to I'm going to be asking more questions than anything, so that you truly are the one in control of this, because I think that that's the most important piece. A lot of us feel that we know what to do. We all know what to do. It's just that we forget to do it sometimes. So being able to kind of hear what you guys think is what is going to fulfill that for you and fit into your life, to kind of lessen the load, is what the goal is here. And of course, everybody wants to know what it costs. So I kind of broke it down into, I went through to find what other people are charging for programs like this, and for the resources that are going to be offered. And then obviously I'm not certified, so I cut it way back, while also still honoring my time, right? I am pouring a lot of energy into this, and being able to create something that's completely custom. I'm not taking anything from what anybody else has done by any means. I am sometimes finishing my workout and just having it and sitting down and typing it out. and cramming slideshows together, which will not happen once the program is launched. This was an exception. um, but I don't know if it's cut off for you guys. Mine tells me at the bottom that it's screen sharing, but the 5-week program will be $200. Um, this weekend I was kind of pondering like, okay, what can you do to offer like a guarantee? It's kind of hard when you're doing something that's mindset to be able to say like satisfaction guaranteed, get your money back if you don't get results. Like that's a hard one to kind of gauge. Um, and I don't want it to be a waste of your time, and I don't want it to be a waste of my time. So my guarantee is you're going to get 100% from me every time I show up. And as long as you give me 100%, I can almost guarantee that you're going to feel phenomenal at the end of the 5 weeks. But also, what I'll do is I will create a weekly payment option. So for anybody that is just like, you want to do it, but you're not sure it's for you, or you understand that like you just got to do it, but also the thought of committing just like shuts everything down. I will do like a prorated weekly payment. So nobody will be tied in to the full $200 if they are somebody that is hesitant. So what you'll be able to do is like on Friday, the week before, you make your payment for the following week. And if you want to do the following week, you make another payment and you have access again. But if you don't want to continue, then that's okay too. The thing that I am really excited to be able to offer you guys is lifetime access. So you'll get that access to the live recordings, but there'll also be like a vault that you guys will have lifetime access to. So you will forever be able to go back and watch these calls. So if in a year you're going through another tough time, you go back, you could do it again. You could do it just on repeat. If you just need that accountability until the habits are built, you're going to have that there as well. So that part will be lifetime. The daily check-ins are obviously going to, after the 5 weeks, like they're going to be gone. And then the workbook I'm going to have, so there's this discounted option for those that are registering for a program, but there will also be, I'm going through a publisher, so you're able to order the book itself. So if you really liked it and you want to do it again and again and again, you can order as many as you want. And I'll probably have a discount code for people that have gone through the program once already, because there's no need for you to pay more for something that you've already done. But yeah, so that, I think that was my last slideshow. Yes, it was. Okay. I'm going to stop the share now and just go into the questions, because I want to make sure that I get everything that everybody was wondering. So what days and times will this be? I really have thought about everything. Yes, I'm working really hard. It's like my brain is on overdrive and I'm like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? And then it's been helpful because Dan has also been a really good soundboard for everything. So it's been great. What days and times will this be? So that'll be on Tuesday nights will be the call, pending my lifestyle changes. And those calls will be like anywhere from half hour to 45 minutes. Sometimes I talk really fast. Tonight I'm surprised that I talked for half an hour already. I was anticipating, like sometimes I'm just like and I just get it all out. And then some nights I have tangents and side stories, and it takes a little longer. But I will always try to have 15 minutes of one-on-one time available at the end of the call. So it'll be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. What does it look like for those in different time zones? So you just might have to catch the recording. Unfortunately, until I start doing this full time, 7:30 p.m. on a weeknight is like, those are my business hours. That was a boundary that I had to set with the family is to be able to say, okay, I need something consistent. And that was something that like we could kind of forego. Dan does bedtime and it's all good. Age ranges to join and the cost. So it was the $200, and I don't really have an age range. So I think anybody could benefit from this. Obviously, like it's going to be on a website, so like you'll have to pay with a credit card or PayPal or however the website that I'm using deals with that stuff. So within that age range. But if anybody has like a teenager that they think would also benefit from this, like they're more than welcome to join you. As long as you're fine with them hearing some cursing, I think it's okay. I know that somebody had actually private messaged me and said, is this going to be just for women? And for the first bit, I'm going to imagine that it's only going to be women that sign up. Um, Aside from like the group coaching sessions, it's not like what I've been offering with my boot camps. Nobody's sharing sweaty selfies anywhere or anything super vulnerable. So I don't think it'll make much of a difference who is kind of in the group there. So I really want it to be all inclusive, but in all reality, there's probably going to be a lot of women. I talked about what inspired me to make this program. Is this manageable around a school schedule? Absolutely. School schedule, busy working moms, if you're a healthcare worker on shift work, like absolutely. This is going to be manageable for anybody and everybody. And the point of this is to be able to create a routine that does fit in your life, no matter what season you're in. This was it was a really big eye opener for me that even through all of the grief, when Chris was passing and we were at the hospital all the time, it was afterwards, it was a reflection that it was an instinct for me to still do all of the things. And it didn't necessarily mean that the grief or the pain or anything went away, but and it's always like it's not the chicken or the egg, but like you always kind of wonder like how would I have handled it if I didn't have those things, right? Like you never know. So being able to have that and just knowing that you do your best and just show up, that's all. You just gotta show up. And nobody's telling you to show up at 100. I'll take one. I will take 1%. Some days that is your 100, right? Some days just getting out of bed is your 100%, and that's okay. Somebody had said, I already use a gratitude app. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do this and then I'll do the chat. I get distracted. It's squirrel. I already use a gratitude app and try to engage in mindfulness practices daily, but still struggle with mindset. What would you suggest I do to help with this pillar? I think that this is going to be the biggest mindset piece to kind of overcome, is expecting it to be easy just because the work has gone in. It really takes a long time. And sometimes we don't realize, like if somebody's focusing on gratitude and mindfulness, those are both things that kind of like fuel positivity. But sometimes we don't realize that there are other underlying pieces. For myself, I didn't realize that confidence was something that was lacking as much as it was until I heard Lisa Bilyeu on a podcast. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then I literally could not stop listening to Radical Confidence. And it was like, wow, that's what was missing. Like, but that's what it was for me. That doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be for literally anybody else. So being able to kind of work through finding what that is still creating that struggle within the pillar is going to be what I'm hoping we are going to accomplish with the inspirational talks and the journal prompts. I'm gonna open the chat thread here quick. Experience is an underrated certification. Thank you, Chantel. I think that's the piece that where I get stuck in the imposter syndrome, and I have to keep reminding myself that I'm not somebody that just like read something online and went, oh, this sounds great. Like I really am sharing from experience. And I want to get my life coach certification in the new year. So then that'll be super cool. But I'm sure the imposter syndrome is still going to be there. It's not just going to go away. So that's a thing. Would the 5-week start date be next Tuesday? No. Oh, that was the piece that I meant to address. I'm sorry. So the program, and this is a difficult piece for me because I've been saying that I want to do this since the beginning of July. And I am very much, let's just do it now and figure out the rest of it later. But unfortunately, I have to like actually talk to a lawyer and do all of the things. And my counselor was not happy with me. I have to cut these up while I talk to you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. My counselor was not happy with me when I said I was going to start this program in September, because September is historically a difficult month for my mental health. We go back into routines. Both of the kids start school this year. It's also going to be Chris's birthday. and it's going to be her first heavenly one. So we know that there are lots of things going on in September. But also realistically, it's mostly because I'm tied up with like the legality side of things. So the launch date will be Sunday, September 25th. And what I'm going to do is I'll have kind of like a bonus call that Sunday so that I can get everybody kind of started with the journal for the first 2 days. And then we'll be doing the call on the Tuesdays. And part of this kind of comes from accepting that we don't need perfection. It kind of bothered me at first. I was like, oh, I can't do Tuesdays because now like everybody's 2 days into their week before we're doing this. But I'm trying to teach everybody to abandon perfection. So I'm abandoning perfection. So that's going to be where we kind of go. And then if it really doesn't work, I plan on this program being ever evolving. So if it really doesn't work, I'm going to be getting everybody's feedback at the end of the program. And if everybody says that they hated that it was on Tuesdays, I won't do that again. I'm not going to like set us up for failure there. But yeah. Somebody else asked, how do you get motivated? That's something that I kind of addressed, I guess, earlier on, is we're not going to rely on motivation, and it doesn't matter how I get motivated. We're going for inspiration. So we're going to find the thing that does light you up. For me, part of it is having a powerful reason why, being able to write down why the things that I do are important. The impact that it creates on myself as well as my family has been huge. But just because that's what works for me doesn't mean that's what's going to work for anybody else. Oh, this is cute. Somebody said, I don't know if I have questions. I just want to hear more. And that was helpful because it gave me a chuckle, and I kind of needed that like right before the call. So I appreciate that to whoever popped that in there. So the cool part about getting everybody's feedback has been being able to see which pillars are everybody's strongest and which ones need the most work. And I intentionally put this in the form as well because not everybody has been on my email feedback list. Recharge and nutrition were like a tie at 30%. And it's really interesting to see how many people struggle with recharge, because that was one of the ones that I struggled with the most. I don't like slowing down like at all, as everybody knows. So to be able to see that I wasn't the only person that struggled with something like that, I know that it'll be an important pillar for us to address. And the focus that I have with it, I think, is going to be really manageable for everybody, because you don't necessarily have to slow down or stop to recharge. So that's going to be something we're going to be talking about. As far as nourishment, nutrition goes, I'm not doing meal plans or meal prep. I might share like the odd little thing that I do to make my life easier, but it's not going to be like, hey, do this. So I'm hoping that we can still kind of work through a little bit of what the struggles are there for people. And then community and mindset were kind of like close seconds for ties. And then movement was not a very big struggle for most people, which I think is awesome because everybody is already seeing it as like movement as a whole and not just exercise. Most people were strongest in movement. Literally nobody said that nourishment was their strongest pillar. So I think we're going to pour a little bit of extra time and love into that one, actually. But these things are very helpful. So even if you're somebody that's on the email list and you haven't been replying or anything like that, like there's no pressure. You could reply in 3 months when you have an answer, because the program is going to be ever evolving. So I will always appreciate any input that you have, any feedback, all of it. Constructive criticism is super appreciated. I have pretty thick skin lately. I can accept that everybody has a different perspective, and what I might see as successful might be detrimental to somebody else. So if you see something that you're like, this is a red flag, please message me. It doesn't mean that I'm going to guarantee I'm going to change things, but it does help me. It helps me to grow. It helps me to be a better leader, and I want to be a better leader. So that's pretty much it. I will do the giveaway because I appreciate that you guys gifted me 45 minutes of your time tonight, and my laptop is about to die. So this is going to be for a free seat in the first round. So starting September 25th, We have got, oh, I grabbed two. Oh, fuck. We're just gonna do that again. I can't give away 2 seats. I'm already giving away 3 in my Beachbody group. I'm sorry. Okay. We have Emily. She's not on the call tonight, but I will message her. It's very exciting. I appreciate you all. I'm going to stop recording now because